Which would have ended my problem. It would have ended me too.
Okay, we'll bring the Senate Study Bill 1082 subcommittee to order. And I think it would be appropriate to start with Lynn Hicks in the Attorney General's office, since this is their bill. And Lynn, if you could explain briefly what the bill's about, why we need it.
Yeah, I just want to clarify. Thank you, Senator. That AARP has taken the lead on this bill, and so I want to thank them for their leadership on it. And so, I would just say that, and Anthony can explain both the bill and some of the changes, but I just want to say that. We are in fully support of this bill. Elder abuse is not an explicit crime in Iowa as it is in other states, and the lack thereof has made it more difficult to prosecute these cases. And we believe this bill would give the county attorneys the tools necessary to do so. It would also help us in our office provide more guidance to prosecutors because this crime remains underreported and under-prosecuted. So I would defer to Anthony Carroll from AARP. Again, they've done it's been a great relationship working with them.
Okay, thank you. Anthony, do you want to pick it up from there?
Yes. Well, Senators, thank you. And thank you, Lynn. And I'll just continue to Lynn's point, although we're really pleased to support this bill, work on this bill. It's a byproduct of a lot of groups' efforts. Older Island's legislature, which I see you're going to hear from, Alzheimer associations, financial institutions are on this call supportive of this. And really, I guess start by thanking you all for passing a version for what you have in front of you is identical to what you passed that last full week of March last year. I'm happy to talk about a couple, three changes that we would like and submit to you that we think improves the bill even more. Last year, we added some clarity to the bill that made it clear sales of a product in itself is not criminal liability. So I'm happy to get into the weeds, Senators, at your discretion on three provisions that we think makes it clear, basically, for people doing estate planning or for family members dealing with estates, making it clear competency requirements are not changing. And then last but not least, adding to the fact that sales of a product in itself shouldn't constitute criminal behavior, neither does solicitation of a good faith donation. That's basically the email or, if you will, the amendment or request. But really, bigger picture is there's such a great need for this bill. You think about the timeline of this as since the pandemic has started. How does governor always end a press conference with reminding older people to stay home? That's great. That's appropriate. Hopefully you have a good support team around you. Sometimes that support team is the one who are as risky as the stranger danger that the attorney generals and others talk about so often. So that's the basics of this bill. I really just thank you enough, Senator Zahn, for bringing it forward and for your consideration of it. Happy to discuss more, but I want to save time for others on either the amendment at your discretion that we're requesting or the background of the bill. Thank you.
Well, so I'm clear, when you're talking about good faith donation and those are in the amendment, is that right?
Yeah, well, let me be clear. Yeah, Senator Garrett, thank you. The bill as constructed already says, and I think working with the funeral directors last year, adding, it currently says, I'm reading at what's current subsection 7 under section 5, financial exploitation, currently says nothing in this section shall be construed to impose criminal liability on a person based solely on the sale of a product or service. What we're adding to that propose or request that you add to that in this instance, that includes legal services or the good faith solicitation of a bona fide charitable donation to a nonprofit organization that qualifies for tax exempt status under the Internal Revenue Code. So in short, it's in there right now. sales of services in itself shall constitute criminal liability. What we propose is add some clarity that also applies to donations. And then the operations above that, Senator, is again making it clear that this bill doesn't change competency requirements that exist in Iowa, and also adding a little bit, hopefully, Senator, for your and I discussion, some clarity and comfort to the discussion of families and people working in the state space and what their job is and good faith work, not being caught up in the net of criminal allegations of criminal behavior. Does that make sense, Senator?
So I noticed there's an exemption in the bill for bankers and savings and loan people and credit union people and so on. Now, as I understand it, in your amendment, you're not adding attorneys to that list. You're adding the term legal services. Is that right?
Bingo, Senator Garrett. That's correct. We don't want to really, and revisiting, we talked about this last year, and the banks are on here, but thinking about banks, they are heavily regulated. There's a set of obligations that apply to them. To be clear, if someone goes rogue and commits criminal behavior just because they work at a bank or credit union, they're not off the hook for criminal liability. But the simple answer is yes. What we had last year is still there for banks. You're absolutely correct, Senator. We're not adding actual attorneys to exemptions. It's just talking about good faith legal services not being something that would be caught in the bucket of criminal allegations.
So why aren't you putting attorneys in the same category as bankers and credit union people and so on? I'm a little puzzled why you shifted there. Is there a reason?
Well, again, I will say this is something we worked out with the state council. And I will tell you, frankly, it was never even a discussion of carving out. Having been through this, and this, Senator Garrett, once you start carving out exemptions, then everyone wants exemption. What we've really tried to do last year, for instance, like I mentioned, other groups selling products at the end, is really try to focus on the behavior, the actions, rather than carving out exemptions to institutions. So I guess that's the short answer. I mean, someone else can feel to speak to it, but again, we're trying to really focus on the behavior rather than opening the door to a bunch of exemptions to a bill that we really want to make sure maximizes the protection that doesn't currently exist cleanly, a clean elder abuse bill.
Okay, well, we do want to move on, but those were some questions that people have brought up with me, and I wanted to get your thinking on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say no one pushed for it too. I'll just simply close by let someone else talk. No one really. Again, thankfully, the discussion was largely around the services they provide rather than the entities. I guess the frame of thinking, not just from our side, but frankly, even other ones who by the way, I want to thank for helping in what we think improves this bill. So I'll be quiet now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, who else have we got that would like to weigh in? Sydney? Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Senator Garrett. Am I unmuted now?
Yeah, we hear you. Go ahead.
Hello, Senators. Thank you so much for holding the hearing on this bill today. I represent the Iowa Academy of Trust and Estate Counsel, and a number of you may have heard from our members. We are currently registered undecided on this bill. Over the last few years, we have seen a flurry of these types of bills related to financial exploitation, including this bill, an iteration of this AARP bill that we have here today. We appreciate the general intent of this bill to provide protections for seniors over the age of 59 years old. But as Anthony said, we did have serious concerns about Section 5. Section 5 provides criminal penalties for financial exploitation of elders. And generally, we have concerns about implementing the use of criminal law when we have mechanisms in place, but we also had concerns about the magnitude. The law prescribed major penalties, including felonies. Our concern is that folks who are well-intentioned and working within their capacity to serve older Iowans, such as lawyers providing estate planning services, would be charged with a major felony in instances where there's no intent to exploit. as Anthony said, we did spend a great deal of time working with the AARP and the Attorney General to address our concern. And we really do appreciate the good faith effort made by everyone to craft an amendment that quells our concerns. The amendment that Anthony submitted to the subcommittee yesterday is agreed upon language with the Academy of Trust and Estate Counsel. Specifically, the changes to subsection 6, 7, and 8 in section 5 provide clarity about competency of the individual and the good faith efforts of those providing services, as well as good faith when it comes to solicitation of donations from nonprofit organizations. And if senators are open to adopting that amendment, I know our Trust and Estate Council, our attorneys are willing to register in favor of this bill and help to move it forward. So again, I just really want to say thank you to the AARP and the Attorney General for their efforts on this bill. It's definitely a good bill for older Iowans, and I agree that the amendment makes it better. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Andy Conlin?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Senators. This is Andy Conlin. I'm sorry I'm not on camera. I think something is going on with my iPad. I'm here today on behalf of Leading Age Iowa. We represent adult care providers across the aging spectrum, and we are registered in support of this bill. I don't want to use this time necessarily to get into the specifics of the bill necessarily, except to say that I think from a general perspective, Leading Age Iowa supports efforts by the legislature to take a good look at elder abuse issues and to make sure that we have policy that's in place to address the needs of this community. So we appreciate your attention. We are glad you're taking a look at this, and we support the bill.
Thank you. We got Mike Rozenboom. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mike Rozenboom, Iowa Bankers Association. We are registered in support of the bill. We'd just like to give a shout out to Anthony, Carroll, and the AARP for working with us. We've appreciated those discussions. I think we got a good bill. We also have the Iowa Trust Association and shared some of the same concerns that Sydney laid out. We appreciate the amendment to address those concerns and makes it a much better bill. So thanks to AARP, thanks to the legislature for bringing this bill forward.
Thank you. Robyn Mills? Robyn? Can you unmute yourself?
I think you unmuted. I think you unmuted Amy. But I had my hand up too.
Well,
so okay.
All right,
I
well,
unmuted now.
we'll do it in that order then. Go ahead.
You're going.
Well, okay. All right. I guess we got you now, Robyn. Go ahead.
Hi, thanks for having us today. I'm Robyn Mills with the Alzheimer's Association. We strongly support this bill with the amendment. People with Alzheimer's are especially susceptible to elder abuse. We have national studies that show 62% of older Iowans older adults have experienced psychological abuse, and as many as 1/4 of those have been physically abused. And we just really believe that we need a law in Iowa that protects all older Iowans from all forms of abuse committed in all settings. And we believe this bill does that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now Amy.
Thank you, Senators. I apologize for not having my camera, and I'm having problems with my internet up here too. But I'm Amy Campbell, and I represent the Area Agencies on Aging and the Iowa Caregivers Association. And both are in strong support of this. In fact, this is a top priority of the Area Agencies on Aging. As you probably know, during COVID, there's been a lot of concern about the elder abuse and making sure that we are making sure that we're providing the services that those individuals need and make sure that we get those referrals. And in the time post-pandemic, just April to November of last year, the area agencies got 290 referrals to address elder abuse, and those include self-neglect and financial exploitation. So we really feel like this bill is needed. It's needed to address those gaps in services, and we really appreciate all of the partners here in working together to try to make the bill work for how it's intended. So thank you very much, and I hope you'll support the bill.
Thank you. Okay, we got Gracy Brandsgard.
Good morning, Senators. Gracy Brandsgard with the Iowa Credit Union League. We strongly support this bill. This is an issue we've heard from our credit union staff. They see it on the front line and know that this is an issue that needs to be addressed. So we think this is a good bill that'll do good for Iowans. So thank you and hope you support the bill.
Thank you. We got anybody else that wants to speak? I'm not. Oh, there we go. Kenneth Gregersen. Can you unmute?
You got it. You're mute.
Kenneth, we can't hear you. Can you unmute?
There.
There
Thank
you
you.
go.
Thank you. My name is Ken Gregersen. I'm a volunteer with the Alzheimer's Association. I'm also a former caregiver for my wife who had Alzheimer's. It just seems to me that so many adults become a child again. You know, we have laws that protect children from abuse, and sometimes where they say, you know, we're an adult once and a child twice, and that happens so often as people age, and especially with Alzheimer's, they have no ability to communicate effectively. I do a lot of support group work as a facilitator, and I've had so many stories of people who are caring for a loved one who they have to take over their checkbook, they have to take over their legal services, they have to take over their physical care. And it's so easy for them to take advantage of that person. So I'm so glad that you are considering this legislation. Thank you.
Thank you. Have we got anyone else that wants to speak? I'm not seeing anyone. Senators, questions or comments?
I'll start here.
Yeah.
This has been a bill that I have worked on for the last couple of years that I fully support. This is something that I, when I was in the investigations division at the sheriff's office, had run onto several times where people were exploiting older Iowans, whether it be family members or someone that they knew, and also caring for a mother who had Alzheimer's for 7 years. And now we are doing the same for my wife's father, who has Alzheimer's. And it is so easy to exploit and someone in that situation, and they need to be protected. And I feel that this is good legislation. I will be supporting it.
Thank you, Senator.
Yeah, it's just surprising how often this occurs and how often you hear about it. So I'm glad we can put something in legislation to make some penalties for it. Thank you.
Yes, I haven't seen the amendment. It sounds like maybe it addresses some of the problems that had been brought to my attention. So based on what we've heard here, it sounds like this is something we can go ahead with. I do want to look at the amendment, and then we'll take it from there. So thank you, everybody, for participating, and we will adjourn the subcommittee meeting.